Well, hello. Today we're going to talk about Google Drawings, what they are, how we can work with them, and why they might be useful to us in this time of Learn at Home. So I'm going to start off in Drive, and I'm going to click the New button in the top left of the screen. And I'm going to go to More, and then right under Forms, there's a file type called Google Drawings. So just like Docs and Sheets and Slides, Google has this format called Drawings, where you can make a drawing. It's an image editor. It is not the most full-featured image editor, but it's powerful enough that we can do some pretty neat things. So I'm going to give a name. I'm going to call it Fractions on the Number Line. Perfect. There are 4 basic tools here. There's a line drawing tool, a shape drawing tool, a text box tool, and then an insert image tool if you want to mark up an image. And we'll talk about most of these. So I'm going to click on the drop down arrow beside line because I just want a regular old boring line, no arrow, no nothing. I'm going to make a line across my page, something like that. And I'm going to come up here to line weight. And I'm going to make it a little thicker just so it's easier to see. Maybe that's too thick. There we go. Now you'll notice that I still have the crosshairs as my pointer, not a pointer arrow like this. So that means that I'm still on the line tool. And that's perfect because I want 2 more lines. There we go. So remember the line weight that I did there. And now I'm going to go back to my pointer. And I'm going to click in the background so nothing's selected. And I'm just going to select this line. Control C and then Control V to make a copy. Now I did that just so my lines at the 2 ends were the same size. I'm just being picky. You'll notice when I slide my line here, it snaps into the edge, which is nice. And you can see a faint red line appear above the black line. That means it's perfectly lined up with this line over here. So it's perfectly symmetrical. Beautiful. Okay, let's make a few text boxes. Let's put one here. This is going to be 0 on our number line. This text box has has most of the features that Docs does for editing. Let's make this 24. Let's bold it. Let's put it in the middle of the text box. Perfect. Okay. So this part of the line is going to be 0. I'm going to click on that and click on the box so that I don't have a cursor. And then I can do Control C, Control V to make a copy and put it over here. And then I can go in there and make that my 1. So here's my number line that goes from 0 to 1. Now I'm going to get a text box. And I'm going to make a few fractions. 1 over 2. I only want it to be a single fraction. Oops. There we go. I might click inside there and make the font a little bigger and bolder so it's easier to read. Perfect. Play with the text box so it's the right size. Oh no. Okay. Again, I'm going to click on it and click on the frame and Control C, and I'm going to make, let's make 3 copies. So I'm going to make one of these 1/3, one of these 1/4, and one of these 1/5. Okay. Then I'm going to get a text box and we'll give it some instructions here. I'm going to spell fraction correctly. There we go. So my instructions here are going to be to place the fractions on the number line, click on a fraction, and then use the blue box to drag it into place. So I would make this file. Then I would take this file, post it in my Google Classroom, assign it to my students, make a copy for each of them. And then this is a task that they could do. So I'm going to click on the half, and then I'm going to use the blue box to drag it, and I'm going to put it as close to the middle as possible. And those blue lines tell me that it is perfectly centered. So half goes in the middle. Let's do 1/4 next, because I know that 1/4 is going to be between half and 0. I'm going to take 1/3. I'm going to realize that it's going to go somewheres right about there. I think it's got to go to the left a little bit. And then 1/5, I'm going to put right there. Maybe right there. Perfect. So there we go. So the students could do that, and then they could submit the file to you, and you could see their understanding. You could, if you want, add lines, add more vertical lines so that it shows them the spaces. You could, depending on the age of your students, have them come up with a few fractions and put them on the number line. Students are certainly able to use the text box, put in a number, and then put it on the number line. Okay, so that is one way that we could use it. Let me show you 2 other ways that might come in handy. So I have my document here. In the document, in the insert menu, I can insert a Google drawing directly into my document, and I can make it right from here. And I have done that down below. So this is a Google drawing that's living inside a Google Doc. So if I double click on it, it's going to open up the drawing menu, and it's going to look the same. It's just not going to be its own document. So I had made a little review about dividing as a way to lead into dividing by fractions. And so this was my little example picture. So I showed one group of 6 here, and then I just took the shapes and I moved them to make 2 groups of 3. And I used a little fill color just to show the difference a little more. So these are just circles. I just grabbed them here out of the shape tool, shapes, circles. That's technically an oval because it doesn't have to have perfect dimensions anyway. I won't get into that. So I made one, made it the color I wanted, copied it 6 times, lined them up, and then copied all 6 into this box and changed the title. So if you're making activities for students, especially in math, now that we don't have manipulatives in front of us, you can make images that help your students understand concepts. So that's the second way you could use this. Number 3, if we think back to our discussion last week about the Explore menu, just find some space here. There we go. So if I go to the Tools menu and go back to Explore, and let's say I'm once again looking for elephants. And I'm going to grab an image of an elephant. And I'm going to grab this one. Perfect. There we go. There's my picture of the elephant coming along. So if you had a picture in a document and you wanted to label it, or you wanted your students to label it, you could use Google Drawings for that. So here's what I'm going to do. This image is just in my document. I'm going to click on it so I have the blue squares on the outside so I know it's selected. And I'm going to use Control X to cut it for a second. Maybe I'm not going to do that. Oh, there we go. Then I'm going to insert a drawing and make a new drawing. And once my drawing loads here, I can right click here or Control V and paste in my picture of the elephant. So what I've done is I put the image inside a drawing, because now I can take a text box and I can put it right on top of the picture, and I can write something like ears. Now obviously we want to make that a little bold. Some of the menu options are hidden here because it doesn't have as much space. There we go. Ears. So now I could I guess that should be ear singular. I'm sorry. Now I can go in and I can add labels, or I could draw arrows to things, or I could use any of these other tools to mark up my image. So within the document, you can create a more rich image, an image that has labels. My current classroom is grade 7, so I'm thinking in grade 7 I might have my students label a diagram or an image with the parts of some scientific system or whatever it may be. So that's Google Drawings. I also want to say, if you like this first idea I gave you, where you have sort of interactive activities, and you're thinking, wow, this would be a good space to create some graphic organizers or some mind maps, you're absolutely correct. And there are already a ton that are made for you. So I'm at a site called Ditch That Textbook. I'll put the link in the description of the video. And they have on this site 25 graphic organizers that are already made for you. So if you want to use a KWL chart, when we click on this link, it's automatically going to say, hey, do you want to make a copy of this? And you click make a copy, and it will make a copy of that document, put it in your Google Drive, and then you will be able to edit it before you distribute it to students. So there it is. So now I could go in, I could add the title, and then once I've done that, give specific instructions that I want to give to students. And then I could share that file in Classroom, make every student a copy, and they fill it out. Drawings really is a great tool. There is some learning involved. There may be some hiccups as you and students work through how all the tools function, but I think it's worth it in the end. I just want to make one final point before I leave you. This works beautifully on a desktop computer, on a laptop, on a Chromebook. It does not work as well on a tablet or phone. So I know that during this time we have lots of students with lots of different devices, and that's just the reality. So depending on the mix of what devices your students have, this may be more or less accessible to them. If you have this drawing inside a document, that will be fine. They won't have any problems seeing that. But it's the editing features that they might lack if they're on a tablet or phone. So I hope that's been helpful. As always, if you have any questions or if there's anything I can do, don't hesitate to reach out.